Hey guys, coming back to you with another video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thank you for the recent support on my last couple of videos and the recent subscriptions. Today we're going to get back into working on the truck. I got a couple other things I got to do while I'm here, and then we'll come back to this thing. Some of the things that I've done since I saw you last. I did get the front differential full of fluid. Came and stopped and did that after work one day. And got the torsion bar crossmember bushing mounts tightened down. So knocked that off our list. Today, I'm hopeful that we can start putting some of the accessories on the front of the engine. And I need to pick the engine up because if you had a keen eye in the last video, you might have saw the engine was leaning just a tickle to one side. It's kind of hard to see, but it's leaning towards the driver's side right now. It's a little bit lower on the driver's side. And so I'm gonna pick it up and try and get it to sit flat again. So I need to do that, accessories on the front, and then maybe I might try and fit up the trans and the torque converter to the back of the engine. So we'll see how far we get. Like I said, I actually have to do an oil change on Taylor's edge. So I'm gonna do that first. Bailey has a weird front end noise coming from his truck, so we're gonna throw that in the air. And then I guess we'll see how ambitious we are after those two things to get done. So I'll check back in with you, but thanks again for watching. See you in a little bit. Alrighty, I'm going to do a little voiceover for you guys. I want to show you, this is Bailey's 04 Chevy Silverado regular cab short bed 4-wheel drive that he bought down in Texas. This thing is beautiful. It's exactly what I want my regular cab to look like one day, but probably not this clean, unfortunately. It is pretty much completely untouched, almost all stock, but he does have pretty much full bolt-on and a stage 2 Texas speed cam in it. So I wanted to show you that. It's a pretty cool truck. Here you can see starting to get the edges oil change done. I usually do the filter first because then the oil drains down into the oil pan, and it's just a simple 2.7 liter EcoBoost and 6 quarts of 530, and we were done with that. Next up, you're going to see Bailey and I messing with the engine, trying to get that guy flat. Unfortunately, messed around with this for quite a bit before we kind of realized and learned what was going on. I thought we had two different motor mounts, or two motor mounts that were sized differently, and actually it turns out the piece that the motor mount bolts to on the frame actually has adjustment as well. So if you ever experience an issue where your engine is not sitting flat from left to right or from driver's side to passenger side, that is likely your issue, and you should really check this out, because we spent probably hour and a half, 2 hours trying to figure this out, and lots of frustration that came with it, but we ultimately figured it out. I got a little more tweaking to do on it even after this, but it's pretty close to where it should be. Next day here, we decided to start working on the transmission. I'm pretty excited about this part because I haven't actually unboxed the transmission guide out of the plastic. I was pretty impressed with the overall quality of the Hughes performance build. It's got a nice aluminum pan with heatsink fins at the bottom, which I thought was pretty cool. Not super impressed with the paint, but I'll go over that later. Got the torque converter fit up, made sure it fit. Everything looked good. And I had kind of a hard time getting the third click out of it, but I did verify that that it was seated all the way, because you can just barely get your hand behind it. In this next clip, you can see that I am filling the torque converter with the half quart of fluid that Circle D tells you to, and getting a nice blurp blurp out of it here in the video. The Circle D torque converter looks really nice, and the fit and finish on it is just perfect. The 01 GMC does have a Circle D in it, and ultimately that's why I ended up going with this Circle D as well. Got a little video of Bailey here doing some bolt cleaning for the transmission crossmember bolts. They were a little nasty from before. One thing that gave us a struggle and that we had a hard time with was when Hughes Performance paints the transmissions, they don't really tape anything off. I think they just take the bare case and paint them. So I had a problem with the dowel pins on the back of the block sticking, and ultimately I had to file those down, and then we ended up putting some grease in them, and then putting some grease on the flex plate where the torque converter goes into, and then it fit up really good. So here you can see we're kind of starting to get all the bolts in, and it wasn't lining up. So then we went back to the drawing block and said, okay, why isn't this lining up? Alrighty guys, checking back in with you. We have officially got the transmission in, mounted. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt. We tried to do it with the jack at first and ended up using the Presto forklift over there. But it's in, it's bolted up, not torqued yet. We got to measure the converter setback. We're going to do that, of course, when it's on the lift. One thing these Hughes Performance transmissions do not come with is this transfer case adapter, which you might say, oh, well, this is two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. No, the output shaft is different. So this is a four-wheel drive trans regardless of this or not. But this is a transfer case adapter, and unfortunately mine has a bad crack in it right there, so I can't put this on today. Gonna have to order a new one of those. But that's why we got the cross member in there backwards technically and facing the front, just to support the back of the transmission. So we're gonna get on the lift, measure torque converter setback, and I'll show you a little bit on that, get some stuff torqued, and see how we're looking. Alrighty, so we're doing converter setback here, which we're gonna do a real quick glance at what converter setback is. Essentially, Circle D says that it's gotta be 1/8 of an inch and no more than 3/16 of an inch. 1/8 on my little conversion here, we have 8 out of 64, that's 3.175 millimeters. And so if we take a couple feeler gauges and we go with our calipers here, we got about 3.4, which is just a tickle more. That's 0.3 millimeters more than what they say. But this right here, we come up in here, this is the perfect thickness for what we're working with here. It just barely grabs the feeler gauge. There's enough drag on it that it's the right. So that is converter setback. And why that's important is because if you take this converter and you pull it too far out of the pump inside the transmission, you're not gonna be spinning that pump, which means that you're not gonna have fluid moving around. So it's important to check this. Don't ever just throw a freaking torque converter in and not check it. But like I said, we're just a little bit over what they say, but we're not at 3/16, which 3/16 is huge. So you can also do the drill bit trick, which they tell you about. I just got a Milwaukee set of drill bits. We got 1/8 inch here, and we got up to 3/16. And just for example, we will show you that we got a 3/16 here and what was a 9/64. So here's the difference between these two. There's a pretty big difference there. And if we come over to the torque converter, we got this guy all set back in here. You're gonna see that this is nowhere close to sliding in there. And this other guy is pretty much what we're at, which is the 9/64, and that just barely slides up in there. So just a hair over what they say, but we're not anywhere close enough to being able to shim with this clearance. So check yours. Don't ever put one in without checking it. After we realized that the transfer case adapter wasn't going to work We moved on to the fuel tank. Everything fit awesome, which I'm pretty proud of because I did take that cross member out and weld in a new one. And then we lowered it down and got the top hat of the fuel pump assembly facing the right way so that the lines were coming out the direction that I wanted them to. Alrighty, just finishing up the day, doing an outro for you guys. I got the transmission in, it's all bolted up, torque converter sat back, torque converter is torqued, bell housing is torqued. Waiting for that adapter, like I said, before we can do the rest of the cross member. The engine is leaning driver's side about 1 degree, so we gotta fix that the next time we're here. The other thing that we got done, we got the fuel tank in, and the top hat, had to turn that around because of course I want the fuel lines to come out this way, and then I can route them forward instead of going out that way and then being on the outside of the frame rail. So what's really cool, I've never seen a 4L80E that actually said 4L80E on the side. My other 2 cores that I had, one from a 01 and one from an 05, neither of them say 4L80E, so that's kind of cool. One thing that I can complain about, and it's not a huge complaint, but Hughes paints these and then they put packing tape on the outside of the bell housing for shipping. They put like a pig mat underneath it. Well, when you take that packing tape off, it's not so pretty. So I wish they would just not paint them or not put packing tape on them. That would be nice. Last thing, Bailey did this while I was working on the jet ski. Got the neutral safety switch in place and bolted up. So that's about everything. We are tired. We've worked enough today, and we thank you for watching this video. Check back next time. See you later. Peace.